Spread out across central Illinois in just a little bit. But first, we're following some breaking news out of Pawnee. Several businesses there burned today after a fire spread across a quarter of the town square. It happened on 6th Street between Douglas and Lincoln this afternoon. WCI3's Cole Henke is live there in Pawnee. Cole, you have watched this fire burn for a while now.
The fire started at Copperhead's Bar here on the Village Square in Pawnee, and it spread to every business, catching fire on the entire block. Firefighters worked on the fire for hours, but they couldn't keep it from spreading down the block to other businesses. Copperhead's was where it started, and it was only open for a year before the fire. Shortly after they opened, they had to close because of COVID. The other businesses on the block have also been closed.
We've struggled through everything and just keep struggling to try to get, up and going, and here we go. This happens. It just knocks us down again.
The 4 businesses that burned made up a quarter of the Village Square. The building stood for hundreds of years before the fire. Gail Chevalier-Zazzini has lived in Pawnee her entire life. She watched from the other side of the square as the building she's seen her entire life crumbled.
This is the worst. This has taken out basically the whole east side of our square. It's very, very sad.
Now, as you can see, the firefighters are still fighting this blaze, and they are now tearing out the outside wall here of this Campo Realty, the last business that was standing on the block here just about an hour ago that totally went up into flames. The fire department's now still trying to handle it, and they have construction machines tearing down that outside wall, trying to get the smoke out, trying to get the heat out so they can get this under control. Reporting in Pawnee, I'm Cole Henke, WCIA3, your local news leader.
Cole, thank you.
Now back to our election coverage. There are 275 local elections at stake just in Champaign County. WCI3's Jen Lask is outside of the polling site at Meadowbrook Community Church in Champaign. So Jen, what is driving voters to the polls there?
Jessica, there have been 285 voters here at Meadowbrook Community Church alone in today's election. Now, the big emphasis I've heard from voters I've spoken to here is education. There are nearly 30 different races at stake when it comes to education alone, both with college trustees and school district boards of education. Voters tell me they're eager to make their voices heard now more than any other election because they feel it will have a direct impact on things like the quality of their children's education. And election judges are urging people to stop by within the next hour for that reason as well.
They affect how life occurs for us here in Champaign County to a greater extent than really the federal elections do.
I'm a teacher, and so local elections are really important to me because we vote for our school board members, and I want to be an active member in my community, so we have to get out and vote.
Most spoken to say the process has gone smoothly and the judges and volunteers here have been incredibly helpful. However, some, including Stacey Airy, who you just heard from, weren't aware their voting locations weren't open this time around and were frustrated and confused by the time they got over here to Meadowbrook Church. Now, that is actually something I spoke about with County Clerk Aaron Ammons last week because they did consolidate some of the different election sites for lower voter turnout, and also he said to save taxpayers money. Now, voters I spoke with here say that's great. They just felt like there wasn't enough word out there in advance for them, and they were a little bit thrown off. Live in Champaign County, Jen Lask, WCIA3, your local news leader.
All right, Jen, thank you. Drop boxes are set up in Champaign County. You have until 7 o'clock tonight to put your mail-in ballots in those. Those locations are listed on WCIA.com. The drop boxes were put out Saturday after the governor signed a bill on Friday, making them a permanent option for voters. Champaign County Clerk Aaron Ammons says voter turnout got off to a good start when the polls opened at 6 a.m. today. The early voting period started in late February and only brought out a few hundred people to the polls in person. Ammons says it quickly reached the thousands by morning. A lot of those voters went through Brookins and Urbana. For some people, it was their first time voting in a consolidated election.
I've never done it before. I feel, responsible. There's changes that need to be made, some small, some major. I just want to try to put my voice in and see if I can help out any way possible.
Ammon says there was an issue with internet connection at the polls in Ludlow early this morning. It was quickly fixed, but one person did have to go to a different location. Ammon says the rural polling places tend to see that problem at some point in the day.
If you've already voted in Postodam, you may have noticed the ballot looks a little different this year. This time around, the village president and board of trustees are all write-in candidates. It's because village leaders didn't submit ballot certifications on time. One voter says writing down her choices was unusual, but it wasn't going to stop her from doing her civic duty.
You just gotta go with the flow, you have to do what you have to do, but I think it's very important to get out and vote and have your voice be heard. Whether it be a small town or big town, every vote counts.
Now, other races to look out for in Postodam include the seat for road commissioner and some spots on the regional school board of trustees. And join us here tonight for election results. We will be tracking them as they come in tonight. Not only can you watch us here on WCIA 3 for the latest, but you can also download our news app and go to our website, WCIA.com.
He helped lead the Illini to one of their best seasons in school history. Ayodasumu makes a big decision today. That's later in sports.
Plus, a grand opening party at a Central Illinois bar was tied to dozens of COVID cases. How the CDC is using the outbreak as an example.
Kevin, the weather certainly did not play a role in today's election as far as keeping people away from the polls.
I don't know. They may say it's too hot. I don't go out in that heat.
I'm sure somebody would complain it's too warm.
Yeah, and I did get a lot of messages yesterday from people that said, I turned on the AC.
They did it.
They did.
April 5th.
Yeah, April.
It's humming.
Yeah, exactly. Got that AC already going. Can't imagine what it's going to be like come July and August, right? 80 degrees officially today, just fell short of the record. When we come back, we're going to talk about how there are going to be some changes on the way. One more warm day, then the rain moves in and cooler temperatures arriving coming in.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty.
All right, so those temperatures today, wow, they were just amazing. We finally have hit 80 degrees in the Champaign-Urbana area. The last time we hit 80 degrees, it was actually 82, it was October 22nd. That's 165 days ago since we were last at 80 or above. So we definitely hit the mark here today, and it's still really warm tonight. 79 in Lincoln right now, 78 Wcia, 77 in Mattoon and in Effingham. And our temperatures tonight, we're going to stay really mild. Look at this, 58. I mean, that's closer to what the average high should be. for the entire day, and that's what our low is going to be here for tonight. Now, it is pretty windy out there. Those winds still gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour. Those gusts will continue through the day on Wednesday and Thursday. We're just not going to see really these winds relaxing at all until maybe Thursday, it looks like. So keeping that wind around and out of the south and keeping us mild for the time being. As temperatures top out into the mid-70s tomorrow in Ridge Farm. Things look pretty good in Arcola as well. Now, the only issue is we're going to have a little bit of rain. We think that rain moves in mainly late with a small chance of a shower in the morning. You'll see what I mean by that here in a second. 76 in Fisher. So a stray little shower, that's 7, 8 a.m. I think the bulk of this rain gets in post 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So look at this. That's 8:30 near Lincoln, down to Decatur, down to Mattoon. Seeing the rain showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms mixed in there from time to time. So that's going to continue for us. Small chance of a strong storm, but it is really small. Even the marginal risk, that green area that we had yesterday that was clipping Jacksonville down to Springfield, that's even moved a little bit further to the west as well. So we've got the rain tomorrow. We think showers around Thursday, lingering into Friday. Another system, a larger system coming in on Saturday is going to bring us some widespread rainfall. So get ready, as we're going to put down some good rainfall amounts here. Maybe 3/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches across the area. A wide swath of that expected. But the good news is, as of right now, we're not keying in on any severe weather. Take a look at where our temperatures go, though. Unfortunately, some of the long-term models are putting us back down into maybe the 50s for highs. I know that's still nice, and we'll take that, but compared to the 70s and today the 80 we had, it is going to get quite a bit cooler, it looks like, as we head into next week. 58 for tonight, though, mild and breezy, and that'll be our high come next week. 77, though, for tomorrow with AM showers with a better chance of PM storms. In your 7-day forecast, look at all those rain chances into the weekend here as well. I don't want you to think it's going to be a total washout. Saturday has a better chance of seeing more widespread rain than on Sunday. And then those cooler temperatures as our lows get back down into the 40s.
So I should bring an umbrella tomorrow night.
Bring an umbrella tomorrow night
that.
for sure. Yes,
Okay.
I would do that.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Illinois basketball is looking toward the future, how they're using IO's big news to inspire the next wave of players.
Plus this.
Remind people of their power to do something that will save their lives.
The vice president is bringing her vaccination campaign to Illinois, where she focused her efforts today.
Live from your local news leader, Jennifer Roscoe, Paul Cicchini, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty and Brett Behrens on sports. You're watching WCIA 3 News at 6.
The CDC is using a COVID outbreak in Central Illinois to warn how easily the disease can spread.
Their report says 46 COVID cases were linked to an event at a bar in Douglas County. This happened back in February. They say that event was indoors and did not have good airflow. A school had to close because of the outbreak. Health officials say while restrictions may start to loosen here, people still need to be careful.
We still want to protect anybody that we come in contact with and or those folks who, for whatever reasons, cannot get vaccinated.
Health officials say you can help limit the spread by getting vaccinated at one of their weekly clinics in Douglas County. Here's a look at today's COVID numbers in Illinois. The state is reporting more than 2,900 new cases. Another 13 people have died. The 7-day positivity rate is still at 4.5%. When it comes to those vaccination rates, 19% of the population is now fully vaccinated. A total of 6.4 million shots have been given in Illinois. 95,000 of those were yesterday. The daily average is nearly 107,000 doses.
Vice President Kamala Harris made a stop in Illinois today. She visited a COVID vaccination site in Chicago. That location is focused on vaccinating union workers. Several state leaders, including Governor Pritzker, were there as well. Harris praised union members for standing together and getting their shots and urged them to talk to their friends, family, and coworkers about doing the same.
Remind people of their power to do something that will save their lives. Because, you know, here's the thing. You've been reading about this thing called vaccine hesitancy. Some people just like, I don't know. Well, if you talk with them and talk about your experience, you will convince people. So I'm here to ask you to do that.
Now, this is the first vaccination site in the country that's run by the labor movement for all eligible union members.
Right, you've got some Illini news for us tonight.
Not a huge surprise, Ayo Dosunmu turns pro, but he does do it on a big-time stage. If there's one thing I've learned about Ayo, I've been covering him for about 5 years now, it's that he loves big stages, and he did that today. How about ESPN to announce you're going pro? We'll have more on that and hear from Ayo next.
From the official television station of Illini Sports, this is WCIA 3 Sports and your Illini Nation.
Ayo Dosunmu makes it official. He's going pro and will hire an agent. The Bob Cousy Award winner for the nation's best point guard made the announcement on ESPN's The Jump this afternoon, ending his college career.
I'll be declaring for the 2021 NBA draft, and I will hire an agent.
Congratulations.
That's what I'm talking about.
Big moment.
It certainly is, and Ayo Dosunmu was dressed for the occasion in the suit and tie, looking sharp. He's projected as a late first-round, early second-round pick by several draft analysts, including Bleacher Report and NBC Sports. ESPN has him as the number 22 prospect in the top 100.
I put so much work into my game, so to know that, July 29th, my dreams become true, it just fuels me more each and every day to get better and keep working.
The last Illini drafted was Myers Leonard back in 2012. He went 11th overall. All right, as we look at his resume here, it speaks for itself. A consensus first-team All-American, USA Today National Player of the Year, and he's the only guy in the NCAA in the last 11 seasons to average at least 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. His jersey will hang in the rafters someday as one of the program's all-time great players. With Ayo gone, now it's about capitalizing on his development and the team's success in recruiting for head coach Brad Underwood and his staff, who are busy trying to do just that, using Dosumu's career to their advantage as they look to turn the page.
He should be the guiding light, the example of stick-to-itiveness, of adversity, of work, you name it, and helping us win, becoming one of the elite closers, and just watching that development. If there's ever any better guiding light than that, man, I don't know what it is.
The Illini have 1 player signed for next season and 2 committed. They could have anywhere between no scholarships and several available, depending on what Kofi, Trent, and DeMonte decide to do. It's certainly up in the air at this point. Baylor won it all last night, beating Gonzaga 86-70 to cap a truly one-of-a-kind college basketball season. The Bears ended the Bulldogs' bid for the first perfect undefeated season since Indiana in '76. Kevin Leidy's smiling, and they dominated the game, opening up on a 9-0 run and never looking back.
Our team has been special. Last 2 years winning his team in the Power 5. We've been really, really good.
We just try to, psych ourselves out, saying the game's not over, don't play the scoreboard, and that's kind of our mentality during that time.
This is Baylor's first title in program history. And speaking of big awards, Iowa's Luka Garza named the Wooden Award winner within the last hour. It's handed out annually to the nation's top player. Ayo, also a finalist. Not a huge surprise. Luka wins it, but Ayo still has a lot to be proud of in his career.
That's for sure. All right, thank you. A city's elementary and middle school are stuck in a flood zone where people are voting on a plan to get them out.
Plus this.
It's just all around a bad thing.
Animals were being dumped at a humane society after hours, so they turned to the community for help.
The red color here on the map indicating the above normal temperatures here across much of the Midwest, and we're keeping that way again to tomorrow. But then even Thursday, we're actually above normal. We're going to be into the 60s here. But watch what happens here as we get to the end of this graphic. That puts us into early next week. Look at the blue color that's coming in. That is indicative of below normal temperatures. Looks like it's going to be getting colder for next week. We'll be talking more about that in the forecast coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, if you're looking for a bright spot to your day, we've got a couple. Here's one from Allison. She says they've had 5 goat kids born at Park Farms within the last month. She shared this picture of one of the new babies
Oh,
there.
the little girl is holding the
Oh,
goats.
I can see it.
Yes.
Oh,
And she's got a cute pink hat.
so cute. All right, and then we've got Autumn sending this one in. She says this chubby bunny enjoyed his first swing at the park on his first Easter.
Okay, that worked. That made us smile. We love it. We want to see your pictures and videos. Email us, send them on Facebook. We have a post on our page for you to share what's making you happy.
There's still half an hour before the polls close. We'll show you how the final stretch is going.
Plus, COVID-19 has had a big impact on schools, how it's now affecting school board races across central Illinois.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 6:30.
A lot of people go to the Humane Society to pick out a new pet, but some in Effingham are doing the opposite.
They are dumping their animals after the building is closed, leaving people who work there in a tough position. 6 cameras are mounted around the Effingham County Humane Society building. They catch some, but not all of what happens outside. And one night, they failed to catch something illegal. 3 huskies were left here, 2 inside of the pens, another wandering around. It was a dangerous situation for volunteers.
They walk out there thinking there's not going to be any dogs, but the one they've got on leash, and all of a sudden they're approached by 3 strange dogs. Our volunteers can get hurt, the dogs can get hurt. It's just all around a bad thing.
This isn't the first time animals have been left here. Sometimes kittens are left out near the front doors. Sometimes they're left in these shrubs, left out in bad weather and to fend for themselves against other wildlife.
So they have to sit there for 12 hours until we come back. And we have predatory animals in the area, everything from foxes to eagles that can attack them.
The dogs recently left behind were given to animal control and then transferred to husky rescues.
We only have so much room. Our little Funkhauser school can house a lot of animals, but we can't house them all. We have to evaluate every single dog that comes in here, and we don't take every single dog because we have to make sure that the dogs are going to work with our volunteers. One dog will see 8 different volunteers in one day's time.
Employees believe the person who dumped those dogs knew how to avoid getting caught, so they came up with a solution, buying an additional 8 cameras to cover every angle of the building. But paying for them was a problem.
We haven't had a fundraiser now for over a year with the COVID. So it's been, we've been watching the balance sheet pretty carefully. When you're in a situation like that, you don't know when you're going to be able to raise funds again. You have a tendency to hold back on any major expenditures.
They turned to the community for help. In just a couple of days, they raised enough money to buy them in hopes the extra set of eyes will stop this from happening again. It's their best option for keeping the animals and their volunteers safe.
I try to say we can't help them all, but we can save one at a time. And that's what we have to do. You know, we're not going to save them all, but maybe if everybody together, we can.
The Humane Society hopes to have those 8 new cameras installed within the next month. Now, employees can't pinpoint exactly why people dump their animals anonymously, except to say maybe they're embarrassed or feel guilty about doing it. They say they will provide people with options if they just give them a call. As for those huskies left behind, one of them had a microchip. That was traced to someone in Clay County who said they had previously given away the animal, and they still have not identified the person responsible for leaving the animals in Effingham.
Here's an update. We now know the name of a man killed in a crash last night in Effingham County. 70-year-old Kenneth Monroe from Marion was pronounced dead at the hospital. Authorities say he veered off the road after crashing into 2 other cars near the intersection of Lake Sarah and Moccasin Roads. And in update, another one, 22-year-old Alea Lewis was given probation today after pleading guilty to resisting a police officer. The Champaign County State's attorney says Lewis admitted that last April she, quote, kicked and swung at an Urbana sergeant and caused him to break his thumb during a shots fired investigation. Lewis will serve a 1.5 year probation and will have to finish 100 hours of public service.
School boards had to make a lot of tough decisions this year, but not everyone was on board with them. How that could result in change after today.
Plus, we told you about a push to get a city schools out of a floodplain. How many voters have shown up to give their 2 cents?
The news continues here on WCIA 3, your local news leader.
More people are voting today in Wcia because of a school referendum.
And if it passes, the elementary and middle schools will be moved out of the floodplain and onto the same campus as the high school. WCIA 3's Abigail Metch is live at a polling site in Abigail. Okay, so what are the chances it's going to be approved tonight?
Jennifer, just from driving through town and talking with voters, it seems like there is a ton of support for it. Even so, Superintendent Andriano says he's feeling really nervous about the results. He wants it to pass, but he's trying to stay positive just in case it doesn't.
We have a great community here that really backs our schools, and it was a wonderful experience going through it. So whether we get it to pass or not, you know, I'm here to try to walk us through it.
The tax increase of $99 per year for a $100,000 home has been the biggest deterrent for voters, but many say it's worth it for their kids to have new school buildings. Now we're less than 30 minutes away from the polls closing, and I'll have more information about the results of the vote coming up tonight at 9. In Wcia, Abigail Metch, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Abigail, thank you.
School board members are facing re-election all across Illinois tonight. Many new challengers are running out of frustration with COVID restrictions or remote learning during the pandemic. A top school administrator told us he expects to see a wave of new candidates elected to school boards. This is after parents saw their patience run thin during a tough year with a lot of challenges.
I'm certain we're going to see a larger turnover in board members in this election than we've likely seen in many years. Most people, most challengers are running because they don't think schools opened quickly enough. So they should have opened sooner.
The teachers' unions also got involved in the school board elections this year. They sided with candidates sympathetic to the concerns of teacher safety. Several incumbent school board members are also just opting not to run for re-election after a year of tough decision making.
A county says more people are showing up to the polls than normal. Which races are seeing the biggest turnout?
Plus, we've got some rain on the way. Kevin is back in with the details.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty.
All right, temperatures today making it to that magical 80-degree mark. And we have to go all the way back to October 22nd. The last time we were that warm, that was 165 days ago. So finally cracking that 80-degree mark. Unfortunately, this may be the last of it for a while because we are going to see some cooler temperatures. Now, it's still very mild tonight. I mean, it's 6:42 and it's still 78 in Lincoln and in Springfield, along with Champaign. We'll take it. Temperatures tonight cooling off down to the low 60s here by midnight, and we're talking only 58 for an overnight low, but it is windy. Our winds are still out of the southwest here, gusting close to 30 miles per hour. The winds will stay gusty again tomorrow. That's 9:30 in the morning, still 30-mile-an-hour gust. And as we head into Wednesday night, as a storm system approaches, we will see the rain chances going up, but eventually those winds calming down a little bit by the end of the week. So as we look at the forecast in Ridge Farm tomorrow with our water tower weather, 76 degrees. Rain is going to move in late. I would definitely take your umbrella with you. Arcola, high of 77 degrees, and in Fisher, we'll say 76. Now, I think the bulk of the rain is late, but there could be some kind of renegade early morning showers around coming up tomorrow morning, as you can see, kind of isolated, scattered in nature. And then we catch a little bit of a break. I think midday, there's not going to be much of anything going on. And then we get into tomorrow night, and this is the large area of shower and potentially thunderstorm activity. The good news is we're not forecasting really any severe weather with any of this, as the Storm Prediction Center's outlook has that marginal risk just off to our west. Now, we'll watch it carefully, see if it moves any closer at all, but I really think that mainly just some rain and thunderstorms with tomorrow and through the end of the week. We've got additional rain chances. I think Saturday could be a really rainy day across the area, but as of right now, all indications are that severe weather threats are going to be low, so that's good news there. Rainfall amounts, maybe about an inch or so over the next 7 days, and temperatures taking a tumble. Unfortunately, we're going back down. We could actually be below normal. Now, 57 and 58 degrees, that's still really nice, but that is going to go below our normal value of 60. 58 tonight, though. Again, that's your high come next week. Clear, mild, breezy tomorrow. Showers, storms, and 77 degrees for a high temperature. So as that rain begins to move in tomorrow, right there is the WCI3 weather app that we encourage you to download, and you can get that for free. Just search WCI3 weather. Okay, now let's take a look at the 7-day forecast that's got all of this rain here and that big drop in the temperatures. 80 degrees, we did it once, but that's going to be the last time for maybe a couple of weeks, it looks like, according to some of the models. And then we're back down here into the 60s here. So unfortunately, this is kind of a one and done thing for today.
I'm not too mad though about a drop that goes into the 60s, you know? It could be worse. We just left winter.
If we were at normal 60 degrees and we had a drop from normal, we'd be down in the 40s. So yeah, I guess it's still not too bad. It's still going to be pretty nice.
Glass half full with this girl.
Bright side of things.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right, we're going to take a look at today's top stories coming up.
But first, we've been monitoring voter turnout across central Illinois, how those numbers are looking as the polls get ready to close.
This is WCIA 3 News, your local news leader.
It's got less than 15 minutes to go until voting sites close in central Illinois.
And then the real work begins for election officials. WCIA 3's Jen Lask joins us live in Champaign. So Jen, how are things going out there tonight?
Well, we have seen about 40 more people come here since we last spoke over at Meadowbrook Community Church. Now, there are 275 races in Champaign County. Overall, we've been hearing things have gone smoothly. The one recurring complaint that we've heard is some voters weren't aware their sites were closed this time around, which led them right over here to Meadowbrook. County Clerk Aaron Ammons told me last week he consolidated those sites for this cycle because it's typically a lower turnout and it would save taxpayers money. Now, voters tell me that's fine, but they just wanted the word to get out there a bit more because they felt a bit caught off guard on this. The county clerk says there was one issue with internet connection at the polls in Ludlow earlier this morning. It resulted in only one person having to go to another place before they were able to restore the internet there. Ammon says the rural polling places tend to see that problem at some point in the day. But for now, we're going to send it back to you. Live in Champaign, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Jen, thank you. The Macon County Clerk says there's been a low voter turnout in Decatur. They're anticipating between 15 and 20% of registered voters at the polls there. Because of low volume, it's easy for judges to help people vote. There have been some technical problems, but nothing that has interrupted voting, so the polls have never been closed or delayed today.
Now in Vermilion County, on the other hand, seeing a bigger than normal turnout for some races. That includes contested races in Tilton, Hoopeston, and Oakwood. But the county clerk says the numbers are still much lower than, of course, the 2020 general election in November. City of Danville is seeing a lower turnout than some of these smaller towns. It had 316 early votes, 191 votes by mail.
Just checking in.
We're going to have a look at what's making headlines in central Illinois next.
This is WCIA 3 News, your local news leader.
Taking a look at the top local stories of the day, several businesses in Pawnee burned after a fire spread across a quarter of the town square. This happened on 6th Street between Douglas and Lincoln this afternoon. The buildings impacted stood for hundreds of years before today's fire.
People across central Illinois headed to the polls today. It's a consolidated election. Voters have been deciding on mayors, city council members, and some referenda. No counties have reported major voting issues so far, but some cities are seeing low voter turnout.
22-year-old Aaliyah Lewis was given probation today after pleading guilty to resisting a police officer. Champaign County State's attorney says Lewis admitted that last April she, quote, kicked and swung at an Urbana sergeant and caused him to break his thumb during a shots fired investigation.
Coming up, we're going to let you know what we're working on for our 10 o'clock newscast.
Plus, you never know, we never know what's going to happen when we're on live TV, how a dog ended up stealing the spotlight during a weather report.
The polls are getting ready to close, but the night is far from over.
Join us back here on WCIA 3 News for election results. We'll be tracking them as they come in, and we'll have full election coverage coming up tonight at 10.
Okay, Kevin just walked in here with election night pizza. And did you hear me?
He goes,
I went, oh,
What?
that was on air. Sorry about that. All right, finally okay, let's get through this really quickly. No. Finally tonight, reporters are usually the ones bringing you interesting stories.
I'm bringing you pizza.
One report in Russia ended up becoming the story. This woman was doing a live report about warm weather coming to Moscow when suddenly she was interrupted by a golden retriever who jumped at her, stole her mic, ran away. She had to chase after the four-legged thief to get it back. That video has now gone viral.
Oh my gosh, did the microphone smell like bacon?
Pizza?
Or pizza or something?
We're gonna run up and steal that from you in a second here.
Oh, geez.
Let's get through your weather.
Could you talk so we can get out of here?
It's gonna rain tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm gonna eat pizza right now. How about that?
I like that forecast. Even the rain part, if it means we get pizza, I'll go with that.
You even get pizza. Look, you're wearing red for pizza as well.
Yes, that's exactly why.
So any spillage is covered up.
That's true, because that does tend to happen. Okay. All right, we're out. We'll see you at 9 and 10.